it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma.
For joining us for another edition of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he. And you are here with me and our great panel today. First and foremost, we always like to thank our viewers for watching us either on YouTube, our YouTube channel, Empower Network, or on Roku, which is seen over 150 million households out there. So we do appreciate you for tuning in if you're viewing us on Roku. We do hope that you will like, join, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well to always be in the know of anything that we post recently. Hit that alarm bell, and anytime we upload any new content, you will get a notification. But let's turn it over to our wonderful panel. Mr. C.J. Jones, how you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. It is my pleasure. And certainly we want to say hello to the fabulous, the bougie, Ms. Lori Parker. How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Are you she?
I am she.
Yes, you are. I'll see you later. And getting back to it, we have Mr. Brad Compton. How you doing, sir?
How y'all doing? Always a pleasure.
And I'm doing a little too much right now looking at Lori. And certainly last but not least, especially in the hearts and minds of women all over the world, the often traveled load master, Mr. Jermaine Parker. How are you, sir?
And you bring me out like Steve Harvey.
Come on, fam. Show some love. Jermaine Parker.
Load master extraordinaire.
I feel wonderful. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Put your hands together for this friend of mine.
I told you it was here. Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh Lord. Yeah, Steve Harvey can bring him out, man. Yeah, that's his gift. He can bring him out.
Yeah.
Well, I hope my panel's doing okay. Y'all good?
Oh yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I do want to say congratulations to Jermaine for taking on a new position in the Guard. Jermaine, what are you gonna be doing now?
So I'll be the full-time C-17 Loadmaster Superintendent for the 156 Airlift Squadron, my home airlift squadron stuff. So I was full-time up until 2016, and I went off and did some other stuff, including my real estate and stuff. So I'm just coming back. I mean, I've continued to do it as a part-time thing and just coming back now as a full-time supervisor.
Hey, congratulations.
Congrats, bro.
Yeah, well, you know, when I hear full-time, I hear the word benefits. So when you get over a certain age and you say the word full-time, the only thing I ever really hear is benefits.
Yes, sir.
Happy for you. We did it.
Yeah, we did it. And you know what? So I'll say it here because I made a post on Facebook because I got the word. I was actually out on a trip this week. I just got back yesterday. And so I got the word while I was out on the road that I'd actually got the job and stuff. And so I was very happy and stuff. And so I put a post out there, and it's probably the most attention I've ever got from any kind of posting, and definitely the most comments, because nobody cares about me, right? Nobody cares about me, what I'm eating and stuff. But I got a lot of love for that post and stuff, and I've got it's like over 160 comments on this darn thing and stuff.
Wow.
So,
outstanding.
Nice.
I'm humble for the opportunity to do something good at the unit and stuff. And I working for my airmen are the number one priority and stuff. But I'm really humbled by everybody that reached out and had something really nice to say. And I will actually answer personally. I'll get back to all 160, 180, whatever comments are on there, and say my thank yous and stuff, because I really appreciate the support.
That is awesome. We're proud of you.
Yeah,
We
you
love
worked hard.
you.
Yeah, man.
You are loved, bro. You are loved.
Yeah.
Right here, bro. Right here. Right here.
Couldn't happen to a better brother. My favorite brother. So
You are in fact my favorite brother too.
am I?
It kind of helps when y'all the only ones. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
don't ruin it, CJ. Don't ruin it.
I mean, CJ, we were on a roll, and that meant that we were incapable of lying. He has to be my favorite brother.
Man, leave it to CJ to do it, bro. I just state the obvious. I'm just gonna state the obvious.
I mean, I ain't telling no lie. Be my favorite, you know.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, listen. I don't know if y'all saw my girl Simone Biles the other day, the GOAT, as people are calling her. But she just did this flip, whatever. It has never been tried before, and I mean, stuck it like a champ.
Yeah.
This girl is on a roll. She is winning medal after medal.
7 times, bro, killing it.
She ain't lost in
killing it.
I think they said since 2013. It's like she's won since 2013. I forgot she's been around that long. Yeah. I mean, she's only 24 years old. So, I mean, the girl is doing it. I know gymnasts, they don't really have a long lifetime because of the wear and tear, and older and bigger. But the level of consistency that this girl has maintained, this young woman has maintained, I just kind of wanted to put that out there because I saw her do that thing, and it was just like, she just made it look so easy. And I'm looking at the number of flips and going, okay, she gonna hit the ground before she make that next flip, but she doesn't. She sticks it. Now, given the fact that she's 4'8", so that helps her too.
I've never seen her do it live. I've never seen her perform live. I've always seen the news clips, Sports Center.
Right.
So I happened to be watching it the other night, and I had to pause it, go back, call the family in.
Watch this.
Watch power she generates. She generates so much power, boom, and then she sticks. Right. Oh, it's a beautiful thing, man.
Because you know what, Brad? It makes you think about, okay, if she was in Hollywood, it'd be believable because it'd be special effects and stuff like that. But this is a real human.
Right.
I think she's a human doing these things. That's questionable, but she's doing these things, and you're just looking at her like, wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
She defies gravity. Yeah. she really do.
Yeah. So she had her gray outfit on the other day, and it actually did have sequins that looked like a goat. Hey, as long as you can back it up, baby girl, you can put a goat all the way on the back of that thing. It don't matter. But she had it. You had to really look at it hard, but you could make it out.
You know what? I didn't think about it until you just said it.
It was a Billy goat. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah.
You know, my daughter pointed that out and said that's not really her style. And I said, well, you know what? Somebody probably made it for her.
Yeah, and she just went ahead and
wear it.
Because she really is a humble girl. I'm sorry. I don't call her. She's a humble young lady.
Yeah.
That's not a girl. That's not
anymore.
She's a humble young lady.
That's right. She's young, but she's of age now.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Brian?
Not a damn thing to me. Just
there you go. There you go.
There you go. Out there, anybody that was holding on to
didn't have to turn left.
That day. That day has come.
This was an honest conversation. You turned hard left.
Nah, bro. That was like Cadillac.
Leaning with it.
Lean, baby. That's all that was, and then you just take it back.
That was that old player with them nice old white Adams on.
Bro, listen.
That was Brian peeking out the window with his purple suit on.
That's what I heard. Look,
On
the
Easter
way,
Sunday morning.
look,
Talking
the way,
about, who's that?
look, the way that he answered that question, I heard cutie pie. You're gonna be too pie.
Man,
Oh Lord. Oh boy.
man.
Well, you know, hey, everybody can't be the Pied Piper, you know what I'm saying?
All right, Robert.
And it's not you. It's not me. It's not
It's not
you.
me.
Oh,
I like
man.
him a lot older, therefore that's why I have I like him old. Sorry,
That takes you to.
You know
You are
what?
safe.
That's okay.
I like him old.
Because you're old with me.
That's right, baby. That's right.
Yes, you are.
That's right.
Nah.
Do
Anyway,
I-
let's get back to some real issues then. So, Simone, we give
Yeah,
you
you
your
want to talk about?
flowers.
Oh, let's talk about Joe Manchin. How about that?
Ooh, okay. So, Republican Senator Joe Manchin. I'm sorry. Let me start that again. Democratic Senator.
Pick one.
Well, he needs to. Shit. He need to decide which one he is, so I don't be damn confused. You say you're a Democrat, you act like a damn Republican. That's why it's hard to get it out.
Well, it sound like male light skin.
Senator Joe Manchin has stated recently that he will be opposed to Senate Bill 4, which is for the People Act. I'm sorry, Senate Bill 1, which is for the People Act. Every other Democrat, the other 49, have co-sponsored this Senate bill that has already passed the House, as well as Senate Bill 1, which is the John Lewis. I'm getting them backwards. Senate Bill 4 is the John Lewis voting rights bill. Okay, I got it right now.
Okay.
So basically, he's in favor of the John Lewis bill, but the John Lewis bill is very, very limited. Now, it does mean that there has to be a pre-clearance by the government for states to make voting changes and decisions, but that would only apply to future decisions. So all these bills that have been passed in Florida, Georgia, Arizona, Texas, all those that are going, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act would not preclude any of those. Those would remain safe. Only the For the People Act would basically go back and tell those, no, that's not permissible. You're gonna have to get rid of that. And I'm sure it would go to court anyway, but it would at least get it going. And it was kind of funny because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stole a lot of my thunder for this show because she brought up 2 days ago, I think it was, what I'd already been thinking about. Because we have to acknowledge one thing here. Corruption is real, and corruption knows no party. Both parties deal with corruption. Both parties are bought and paid for by lobbyists, and you have to follow the dark money. And the reason is because the bigger bill that Joe Manchin does not want to get behind, he says it's too big in scope to do without any bipartisan support. And AOC basically called BS on that because, to her point, like she said, well, he's voting on other bills that weren't bipartisan and had no problems, such as the COVID relief bill that we just did. That had to be done through reconciliation, and no Republicans jumped on that either. And he voted for it just fine, other than dwindling down some of the unemployment benefits and shortening the time period of it, the concessions that they gave him. But all in all, he went ahead and voted for the reconciliation, no Republican votes. So the whole thing about bipartisan is really kind of crazy. So people are looking at him going, what is wrong with him? What is wrong with him? Doesn't he realize that if he doesn't get on board, then there's going to be no infrastructure. There's going to be no immigration. There's going to be no voting rights. All these things that are prior, there's not going to be any bills on climate change. There's not going to be a raising of the minimum wage.
Right.
All those things are dead if this is the approach that he's really going to take. And he drew a line in the sand the other day by saying that he wasn't on board with the For the People Act. And you know, he's saying that voting should be open to everybody and everything else, but he's not acknowledging what is currently being done across the across the country with regards to voting rights being suppressed for mostly people of color. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez basically said, hey, listen, that's not passing the sniff test. And the reason that it isn't is because the For the People Act, while it deals with voting rights, it also addresses a lot of things such as dark money funding people's campaigns. It also takes on illegal gerrymandering. It talks about having gerrymandering be done in a way where it's not a partisan thing. So you don't have the party in power redrawing the maps so elections tilt their direction.
Right.
That is done in a way where it's pulled outside from them and done out of house.
Right.
So all those different things. But the dark money part is really big because Joe Manchin, just like a handful of Democrats too, their biggest donors are these dark money folks. So basically what she's saying is, hey, if you really want to know why he's so against this, follow the money.
Follow the money.
Follow the money.
Yep.
And,
Follow the damn money.
And yeah, it is dark money, but their money is not dark, right? Their money is out there. The Koch money is out there, and that's who she's referring to.
Yep.
Koch brothers.
To the Koch family. And money talks, man. And what he's been doing, and think about it, this guy represents, I heard it the other day, I forget the exact, he represents like 0.5% of America, right?
Yes, 0.5.
In his power, he's carrying a pretty big bat right now because he's stopping a whole lot of the agenda that this president was voted in on. More votes than any other candidate in history, and this one guy from this state in this little district is holding everything up. That's serious.
That makes absolutely no sense. He knows he's in a place where he's a unicorn.
I disagree.
Yep.
Go ahead. You disagree in that he's not a unicorn?
No, I disagree that it doesn't make any sense. It actually makes perfect sense.
Oh, that part. Well, what I mean by that is it doesn't make any sense to call yourself a Democrat.
Right. I can say clearly he's not.
Because he comes from I'm gonna finish that real quick though, Jay. He comes from a state where, of course, Donald Trump won by a landslide. The other senator is a Republican. The governor is a Republican. And he used to be the governor. He used to be the Secretary of State there. So he's held different positions there as a centrist Democrat, and his stick has always been he's the Democrat that kind of pushes back on things and stuff like that. That's kind of been his winning thing. That's why he keeps winning, because everybody knows that if you run another Democrat against him, more than likely you're handing it over to a Republican. If you primary him with another Democrat, it's pretty much said that you're going to come out with a Republican. If that's the case, or if the Democrats push him too hard and he runs into the arms of Mitch McConnell, then Mitch gets the gavel back from the most ineffective leader that I've seen in a while, Charles Schumer from Brooklyn.
That's for Charles Schumer.
Right.
Ain't work.
Charles, man.
Charles Schumer has done a whole bunch.
Chuck, you ain't worth a damn right now. If I were you, I'm gonna tell you why. Because there are other Democrats hiding behind Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. They came out with the COVID relief package when they had to take the $15 minimum wage out of it just so Manchin would pass it. But it wasn't just Manchin that was against that $15 minimum wage. It was about 6 of them. See, they hiding behind Manchin and Sinema because they the ones taking all the arrows. But there's some other, so when we talk about the filibuster and stuff like that, it's not just Manchin and Sinema. Those are only 2 ones saying something about it. Warner ain't on board with that fully. Now, some of them other ones, you could probably twist them into it, but they don't want to get a bunch of campaign ads held against them for doing a lot of things that they think is unpopular back in the districts that they're in. But if I was Schumer, I would have started calling everything to the floor, put an up or down vote on it, and if it fails, it fails. But then now you got people on the record. He doesn't want to sit there and call them out like that. He's being I ain't gonna say that P word, but he being a little passive right now. I would call him out. Now, most leaders and speakers don't want to bring bills to the floor that they know will not pass. To them, they think it's embarrassing. To me, I think you're putting people's people on the record, and that way, if there is a primary against them, they can say, "Hey, I'm the progressive candidate that's running against this asshole that keeps voting against $15 minimum wage, when right now, going against inflation, that's still too low. It should be $22 an hour, but they don't even want to give you 15. And yes, they're a Democrat. And you run against their ass and you put their little cells out and you put a bunch of progressives in. Anyway, I digress, Charles Schumer. I know that's not your style, but I think you're letting the Republicans run out the clock. Every day you don't pass something, every day you're not bringing something to the floor is another day closer to the midterm elections, when the Republicans can very well, unless Trumpy, and we'll talk about that later, sabotages their efforts. If he doesn't, then they'll end up regaining control of probably both the House and the Senate, and everything will be dead on arrival to Joe Biden. And Joe Manchin right now is standing in the way of that because, yeah, you say it's 2 years away for the midterms, but how many damn recesses are in there? So the actual Senate calendar to actually pass legislation, do your markups, do your conference committees, all that kind of stuff. When you start looking at all of the wheels that have to turn to get a bill from a committee to the actual floor, it's time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you add in the recesses and the breaks and all that other stuff, it's not really 2 years. That's why a lot of the other Democrats are getting real antsy right now, because they realize that time is not on their side. You got to get stuff passed so people can see the benefit of it, so that they can say, yeah, we're going to give you another 2 years. Look like y'all doing all right. Y'all got stuff going. But they got to accept the fact that Republicans are not interested in helping you get there. They're not being honest brokers in this. And this whole game that Biden been playing with Shelley Moore Capito, only to come to the conclusion that we knew we were going to come to. It broke off. It didn't matter if they even agreed to the number. They'll never agree on how to pay for it. Joe Biden wants to pay for new funds with increasing taxes on businesses from 21% to 28%. There are a lot of Democrats and Republicans that do not want to touch any taxes.
So, Brian, what are you trying to, are you putting it out there that we already know that Joe Manchin is just going to sit there and just be difficult, just as the Republicans have been difficult? So everybody wants to sit there and save face. So at this point, somebody's going to have to make a move. And nobody wants to make a move. Everybody wants to sit there and posture and stance. Posture and stance.
Why do they need to make a move?
Well, hey, let me jump in for a second. Let me talk about Joe Manchin and just explain this. Like I said, I don't think that I disagree that he's going against his nature and stuff like that. He is a Democrat, and he has voted.
He always does.
And he has voted exactly. He's done, and he has voted Democrat and with Democrats a lot. But as we point out, he's the senator from West Virginia, and he's actually just doing what his constituents want him to do. He's you know, we can talk about dark money and who funds campaigns and stuff like that. But if you're telling me that you believe that the people, the great state of West Virginia, are on board with these progressive ideas, then I would ask you to take a nice drive through Virginia, go I-77, and just stop wherever you want to, and at your local Hardee's, and poll the crowd and stuff. And if you're not getting run off before you get your poll started and stuff, you'll understand that Joe Manchin is executing the will of the people. It's not Joe Manchin. It is, my dear brother says, other people hiding behind Joe Manchin who need to be primaried and stuff. But not so much them too. If we had a greater, we need greater numbers. We need better candidates to run in other places where Republicans are weak and stuff. And that's probably, anytime you got basically a 50-50 governing body and stuff, you're going to have problems trying to get any issues passed. The only thing that I would say for Democrats is that if you look at the NFL season every year, one of the things that we do is we count down every week who's undefeated. And it's not just the fans who do it, the teams do it too, because they start looking towards the teams later on in week 6 or 7 who are undefeated, and what are they doing to stay that way? What plays are they running and stuff? What kind of things we should have other teams expose them on that maybe we get to play and we can expose them on too, and there's some strategy for that too, because you want to study winners and stuff. And so for Democrats not to have studied Mitch McConnell and how he runs out the clock and how he governs when he has people in and trying to figure out what his weaknesses are. And I'll say, hey, sis, you're right. I think Chuck has, because don't get me wrong, because getting those checks out for Biden and stuff, they have gotten some things done. But to your point, Brian, they have to continue to do things. It has to be consistent because people are like those checks in 2 years, that money's gone.
Right.
And so no one cares about that anymore. So they do have to continue. They do have to recognize, anytime you go into, and it's a battle. Anytime you go into warfare and stuff, controlling the place that you fight is a really, really big thing. Controlling the things that you can't, as much as you can control. Well, I'm not going to fight till I'm ready to fight. I'm not going to fight a day earlier than that. I'm not going to fight a minute earlier than that. I'm going to fight on the ground of my choosing. I'm going to, I'm going to keep the high ground, like Obi-Wan. Everything, all that stuff, it's very important. And I think Democrats are, it's not that they don't want to. They're not at an advantage at all for getting their agenda. So it's a lot against them right now. They could still be working better. They could still pass the ball a little bit better, get their offense going a little bit better and stuff.
Yeah, they can definitely do that. Absolutely.
No, I think you're right. I think they need to run candidates in other areas and steal some seats. And I think the sister in Florida she just announced yes, she did. Yes, she did. And I'm happy for her, and she's going to win that seat.
I hope so.
I think Joe Manchin's situation and the people of West Virginia, they're just like the people in Alabama, and they're just like the people in Mississippi. They want all of these things. They want all of it. They just don't want to. They don't want it under the umbrella of the Democrats or liberalism. They don't want it under that umbrella.
Right. And I've been saying that
take Obamacare.
It's not so much
they just
right.
They don't want to call it Obamacare. They want to call it something else. So they'll take all of the liberal policies because $15 an hour, every goddamn West Virginia in that state will vote for it. All of them would. All of them would support the liberal policies. They're
not necessarily.
And they've got on those red goggles that they have in Mississippi.
That's exactly Brad is exactly right.
It.
That is called messaging,
right,
and packaging. And the perfect example to what you just said, Brad, about Obamacare. When they did a survey in Kentucky, they call it Connect there. It's called Connect, is their local program. And they asked the people how they felt about Connect. Love it, greatest thing. It's so easy to use. The rates are so wonderful.
My kids and then they insurance until they're 25, 26.
Yeah, and then they told them, well, you do know that Connect is Obamacare.
No, it's
not.
No, it's not.
It's like Klan finding out that Bigums is really black underneath the hood. Once they find that out, he ain't so cool no more. But before then, it was everything was great, right? But that's how they acted when they called it Connect, and they gave them all the benefits and all the sweetness with it. They could digest it better. The messaging and the packaging matters. And you're right. If Donald Trump was in office and he was pushing the same package, I guarantee you, Mitch McConnell, Rubio, all of them would be all on board, not giving a damn about how it's going to be paid for. Not talking about we need to look under the seat cushions and find some coronavirus money that ain't been spent. They'd be blowing another hole into the deficit, not giving two dams about it.
Right.
But it does matter, and you're right. The problem is that with the 50-50 Senate, most people out there assume that because they have the tie-breaking vote with Kamala Harris, that more things will happen. People that aren't as plugged in and tuned in to the way the Senate was already designed to grind at a very slow pace, but now having to overcome filibusters. If you ask half of Americans out there what a damn filibuster is, they couldn't even tell you. You know, or even the history of the filibuster, who obviously Kirsten Sinema doesn't understand what that is either, or she acts like she doesn't. But all they're going to see is in 2 years, if nothing else passes, other than naming a damn post office or something, then Republicans are going to run on the Democrats got power
Everything
and
that
didn't do a
the
damn thing
Democrats
with
was
it.
trying to push.
Full stop. They're not going to go into the whole thing about we kept them from doing any damn thing. It's just going to be, what did they do for you? How did your life improve? Are you better off than you were 2 years ago? They're going to run all that shit 24/7, even though that the reason that they didn't get nothing done is because of their obstruction. They're not going to say that part. They just going to touch on the very tip of the spear and remind you that nothing, as much as they talked about change and this and that and the other, what really changed for you? Did your life really improve? Did your wages really go up? Now, don't mind the fact that we help keep the wages down, because we subsidize businesses so that they ain't have to pay y'all nothing.
Well,
So
you know
they're
what?
not gonna bring up that part.
Because political America or corporate America,
Yeah,
really
they're gonna
do
run on
think
that, and that's how people are gonna lose.
They depend on our short-term memory.
Correct.
They depend on that.
They
So
do.
yeah, they're gonna pick up the football where it was actually right there the whole time, and then claim credit for it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
That
That's right.
is the world of politics.
It like I said, it's all about packaging, right? Because when we think about the PPP loans that were just given out, that cost $953 billion. The corporations got a $1 trillion bailout. The extra $300 a week for unemployment costs $195 billion, and so that's way less than everything else. But the packaging for this, that's for lazy people. But we gave away, we can't give people $300 a week because that'll cost us. Yeah, to stay home and stuff. But we can bail out businesses. We can give, corporations a $1 trillion tax cut. You know what I mean? So it really is about how it's packaged. Like CJ said, they depend on our short-term memory because, and actually psychologically, that's the reason. That's the way we're built, right? If you break your arm and you think back about it and spend a year or so, you can't remember the exact. You know it hurt, but you can't remember the exact hurt because our brain actually protects us in that kind of way. And luckily, in the last 4 years, I can't remember exactly how much it hurt to have Trump as the president because my brain has protected me in such a way. I knew it hurt. I knew it was painful what was happening and stuff. But as I look back on it now, my brain is working just fine. It's protecting me from actually reliving all of that in real time and stuff. And so that's what happens too, is that the packaging is allowed because how many Republican senators actually took credit in ads and stuff for the bailout money that was passed on to Biden that none of them actually voted for.
Hoping that people's short-term memory will go, oh yeah,
exactly.
They'll just say, because the headline will be this: Congress passes COVID relief package.
Yep.
It doesn't say Democrats without any help from Republicans. Right. That's the way it should read, but the way it will be remembered is Congress. It's kind of like being the third string quarterback on a championship team and you got a Super Bowl ring. Everybody think you played in the game. Your uniform was still white, but they think you played in the game because you got a ring. Right. And they think proximity means that you were in with it, and you weren't. And a lot of them actually had to start running billboards in certain states like North Carolina, where Madison Cawthorn down here, who lies about everything, tried to take credit, and they put a billboard up that said, "No, you and Tom Tillis did not vote for any of this stuff. Thanks to Joe Biden."
Exactly.
Da 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 da. A lot of states
Hey,
had to do
Matt,
that because people were doing that.
Madison lies so much, I think you can walk. I'm almost.
You know what?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
I was thinking about doing that Ricky Bobby to him.
Oh wow.
Somebody
Put
do
that screwdriver.
put some on his legs, baby, just to see. I mean, he lies so much.
He does. He does. Oh my gosh. So yeah. So my biggest thing right now though is that yeah, it's not just Joe Manchin, but what Joe Manchin is showing, or should be showing the Democrats, is everything that you all have said, is that we need to go out and run better races in areas that we can win to basically negate Joe when he goes. Joe knows he's got the power. He knows that if he don't move, ain't nothing happening. That is too much power for let alone one person to have, let alone somebody that doesn't even represent that much of America, or even a diverse amount of America. So the fact that former police chief, House Rep Val Demings is going to go against I need a drink of water, Marco Rubio. No, I had to get into that.
Wow.
I don't want to laugh at the brother because I've been with public speaking too. I've been there.
Yeah, but he kind of.
It was funny.
It was funny when it happened.
Yeah.
But so Val is going to run against him. Florida is a tough state. My God, they still have DeSantis there. It just seems like he's never going to go away. But if we can turn that state, if they can get a Democratic senator out of that state, that would be good. Raphael Warnock has got to go back into Georgia and run again because he was basically appointed for a special election. So he's got to go back and hopefully pull Georgia out. I know that
This is next. Texas.
Texas is going to be a nice spot to try.
Right.
We got to go back to Arizona.
They're going to challenge Cruz, right?
Cruz.
Yeah. My man, what's his name? In Ohio. He's going to take Rob Portman. He's going to go after Rob Portman. He's a congressman. Not Tim Ryan. What's his name? It's something like that. It'll come back to me in a second. But he's been around for a long time. He's going to leave the House of Representatives and go for Rob Portman's seat because Rob Portman is retiring. Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania is retiring. So just picking up a few seats will make a difference.
Yeah.
Will make a difference.
Phenomenal difference.
But now here's the whole thing, you pick up those seats, but then you still got to do the same thing with the House of Reps because they've only got like a handful of seats as a majority. This is their thinnest majority. I think it's six seats that they had. Now, a lot of people will talk about defund the police, reduced a lot of that, and it probably did because, again, packaging from the Republicans made it sound like Democrats were all about taking your police force away and
I disagree with you. That was not a Republicans thing. That was a us thing. So we gotta wear.
Well, what I'm saying is we didn't counter it with the right messaging. We let them control the narrative.
But we put it out there. We put it out. We lobbed volley first, and we said defund the police, and then they came back and said, "How dare you defund the police?" And they're still running with it. They're still.
And that's because, like, fortunately now
we'll never backtrack on it because we're so dug in both sides.
Yeah,
dug in.
I would have never used that term.
I would have used it given the context and given the education of what the difference between defunding and abolishing is. To this day, I still put it on my Facebook pages if you ever see it. The difference between defunding is just reallocating, putting those same funds into other organizations and things that's going to help the community.
But
abolishing, meaning totally getting rid of everybody from head to toe.
See,
a total reset.
I get you, CJ.
But you
But
having
that's
a
not what
cerebral,
the American doesn't hear that. They
right?
I know. Yeah. I know they don't hear it. I know they don't hear it, but it's just like it's just like playing that sorry ass song that you used to hearing all the time.
Mhm.
And no matter, and they play it over and over. You can keep giving that same message over and over to eventually, even if you can't stand it, you're gonna be patting your head. I mean, you're gonna be patting your feet and rocking your head to it. Like, I don't even know why. I don't even like this song, but I'm rocking with it. It's the same. It's all, again, it's about packaging. It's about putting that message out repeatedly, repetition. You will eventually, I'm going to educate you, bro. I'm going to.
Well, you can't because there's a saying in Congress that if you're explaining, you're losing. So make sure your packaging doesn't make you have to start backpedaling and saying, well, what I meant by this, but you don't get a chance to do that. So when you say something like that, and then they get to control the narrative and tell people that it means what it doesn't. For example, when Trump started putting out the whole thing about Black Lives Matter and Antifa. So now anytime you bring up 1-6, what's the first thing they bring up?
Antifa.
Portland, Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about the same thing. That's they've been bred into believing that Antifa is actually a bunch of people that go out. Antifa is a culture. It's a way of thinking. It's anti-fascist. You know, it's not actually boots on the ground, but they got you believing that there's Antifa people.
Right. I mean, just like they had everybody thinking that the culture versus the movement when it comes to Black Lives Matter. I mean,
well, I mean, Jermaine, you're right. Yeah, there are Antifa believing people. I get that, but it's not like a
they were actually called the Greatest Generation. They went out and fought the Nazis. They were Antifa,
right?
And so but that's packaging, right? Because
packaging.
Because what was fascism back there? There was Nazi Germany and stuff, and so we were anti-fascist, and so the United States was Antifa. But packaging now says that's a bad thing. Right. So I agree with CJ and I agree with Brad at the same time. It's a 50-50 ball for me when we talk about terms like defund the police, because I do believe it is packaging, and that like Brad said, we put it out there, and we could have came out and said, you know what, we need to look at local resources and do some studies about how we can reallocate our funds to more diverse programs to help serve our citizens in their unique ways and their needs and stuff. And we could have put that out there. But what I know about America, history lesson, is that it doesn't really matter when it comes from Black people what we say or how we say
packaging.
It. But no, our packaging don't mean shit. It don't matter how we put it out there. So that's why I'm like a 50-50 ball, because I'm like, well, when I say defund the police, because it doesn't matter how we said it, I know how they're going to hear it. The same people that think that, you know what, racism is getting worse in America. No, it's not. It's been horrible, fucking horrible from the start. We were beaten, killed, enslaved and stuff. This is racism light. The fact that people want you to believe that it's actually getting worse, it's crazy to me. When we talk about, like last week, when we were talking about Tulsa and everything that went on, and not just Tulsa, Chicago, New Orleans, Florida, just keep going on, North Carolina, Arkansas, New York, Philly, recent stuff. Churches getting shot up in South Carolina, and people look at you and go, I don't know, it's getting a little rough. No, it's been rough. It's been rough. And so when we talk about this packaging, and stuff, I'm a little thrown off, like, yeah, we could say it nice, but just as a people, I understand that anytime that we throw anything out there, it's misunderstood. The narrative is always changed and run away with, just like this, because when people said that, obviously that's not what they meant, but that's what was taken away from it. So,
right.
So what do? Well, the bold man in me says, you just say what you want to say, because people are going to do what they want to do with it. And so me sit there, and what do you earn by tiptoeing around stuff?
Correct.
What do you get with that? By just tiptoe? Well, because I might garner 2 or 3 more people to my side and stuff, because the people who really know get it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So here's a way to back to what you were saying, B, because you are right. If you have to explain, it's kind of like the comedian's rule too. If I have to explain the joke, then it ain't funny. So yeah, you are right. So what you would say is kind of like what Jermaine was saying. Just reword it and give it to a white person to say it, and there you got it.
You know how effed up
Well,
that is,
that's
though?
what.
Like, you know what? Don't even bring up defund. Don't even bring up defund.
I hate to say
But just
this,
give the definition of it.
But I've already seen that happen before, and there was some success to it.
See, that's what I'm saying.
When Obama had Biden as his running mate.
Exactly.
It validated him more to the white people to have Biden there.
And especially when it came to
I hate to say that,
to overseas affairs. That was his thing. Because their thing was, he's black, he's gonna go overseas and he's gonna mess up something, and our agreements are gonna go to proof and da 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 da. But then when they saw Joe Biden go, then they all shut down.
You know, and that really just goes back to a lot of stuff that we talked about in our last episode, and how America sees black and brown lives and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, we talked about it, you know, a few, and you know, my opinions are my own, and not my employer. So
I just got the damn job.
Before I lose this, somebody watch this and be like, he shouldn't be working for the government. I probably should. But seriously, my opinions are my own. But and I don't represent anybody else with this. But my thing is that you look at how many years we don't cry and beg and pleaded, and we can't even get an anti-lynching bill, right?
Right.
It takes about a couple of months for whatever reason, and I'm still not sure why. I think it had more to do with Trumpism and the attack on China, and people not being able to understand that Asian is such a large encompassing term. But you know, attacks on Asian stuff, and they immediately got a bill, anti-hate bill, for them. It's one of those things where we say, man, congratulations, I'm glad you got some protection. Hey, boss.
What about me?
What about me?
Yep.
Right.
They've been beating on us for a long time. Like, you niggers look suspicious anyway. It's like, like we just, you know what I mean? And that's why I say, you know, that's like me saying, when I do my homework, I had to have somebody else present it because no one will believe that I'm smart enough to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you have
to have somebody.
Or you literally have to have Big Brother watching you the whole entire time. Okay, was that his hand that actually turned that page, or is that him actually studying? You shouldn't let nobody dub him in. You know, yeah. I mean, I know it's messed up, Lori, because I know as soon as I said it, you were like, what? But I don't have no more words.
I mean, listen. Until a lot of us die, and our children have more sense than we do. That's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a lot of, you know, because we've seen over the last couple years, Trump, but even before Trump, that the value of truth just isn't what it used to be. Like, it doesn't really matter if it's true anymore. It's just, does it feel what I want to hear? That's why people will gravitate to a Fox News or a Newsmax or OAN or even CNN or MSNBC, because it doesn't necessarily matter if it's true. It just matters if it's in line with what I want to hear.
Right, so which goes back to your feelings.
It's not a premium on the truth anymore. It's a premium on. I'm gonna give you the same example because this is not a new phenomenon. How many people you know don't go to a certain church because they felt like the pastor was saying something about
them? You took it from me, B. I was just about ready to use that analogy. I was just because you know church is near and dear to my heart. I was we vibing today. I was just about ready to use that analogy.
People do this. They'll say,
Feeling
I ain't going,
versus
I ain't
what is
going to church.
biblical.
I don't go to that church no more because them people over there.
Because it was
they
how
judging
you felt.
me and
Right.
this and that.
They judging me. They
Yeah.
make me feel like this. But wait, it's not about the feeling. It's about,
Oh, it's the feeling.
is it in line with the word?
They don't care about
Right
that.
now, there's like a battle right now.
Yeah.
And I know y'all, and I don't want to get too deep and everything, but there's like a battle right now, like Bible preachers versus mega preachers. And I'm like, wow. So it gets my attention and I follow it and everything, but it's about feeling versus what actually is.
Well, CJ, I'm gonna be honest with you. I saw that coming a long time ago.
Oh yeah, I did.
When people would show up late to church to miss the first part, but get there in time for the choir.
Right, exactly. But they be,
because we're gonna be jamming
they be
now.
fighting
So
to get
we
up
gonna
front.
be jamming, you know.
Right.
Everybody got to see me stand up with my big old poncho and my hat on and stuff, and get it on and stuff. I'm gonna get my dance on at church. I'm gonna get my praise on.
Yep,
Okay.
get your praise on.
And leave just as empty as you did when you walked in.
Exactly.
So what I garner in this is that, and what I'll tell you is that a lot of things are about feelings. You know, as a real estate agent and stuff, I'll be honest with you, a fact sheet about a house doesn't really sell a house.
Right.
And so, you know, that's not how I sell, right? Like if you want me to sell your house, I wouldn't just post the facts about your house, right? I got to get people in there. I got to get the cookies in there so you got that home smell to it. A lot of things are based on how I feel.
How you feel.
Correct.
Right.
And how you make someone feel and be comfortable.
And be comfortable and stuff. And so I get that. And that's
like Lindsay, Lord.
Feelings are fine in its own way. Like you said, outside of structure, because I've never shopped for a house, guys. And right now I'm trying to educate myself in that area right now. So not only am I going to be going by how I feel, like in the neighborhood or, you know, the atmosphere that I'll be looking for, but as just trying to make sure that I got a good solid house, I know I need to be looking at structure, foundation, how it was made. You know,
you look at that stuff,
inspections and different things like that.
See, so, CJ, you buy guns, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you buy guns?
That is both.
You shop these.
It's both.
You shop. It's both, right?
It's both.
So
it's
both. Anything you invest in, it's going to be a little bit of feelings. It's going to be a little bit of facts and stuff. If I gave you $50K right now and said go get a car and stuff, you're going to get a good car, but you're going to like that car, right?
Right.
You just ain't going to drive anything because it makes you feel because of that connection and stuff. And that's how Black people are with America and stuff. We don't make America feel good. And so that's the reason that factually they go in, they make up all this shit. Like when the NFL just lost in the $1 billion lawsuit because they felt like Black people were so stupid that they started off down here. And so when they got injured and they showed that they had decline in cognitive ability and stuff, that, oh, well, you don't qualify for this program.
Y'all was stupid to begin with.
You were stupid to begin with because that's the way we make people feel. We make people feel like it's not important to anti-lynching because what if y'all hang in a tree? You always been Christmas decorations. Why do we care now? That's just the way that we feel.
Wow.
America feels this way about Black people and then follows it up with a little bit of fact to back it up. So it's always a 50-50 on this facts and feelings and stuff. Now, to one thing my brother said, he said it feels like the truth doesn't matter and stuff, and it does feel that way. But the truth does matter and stuff. I think with politicians and stuff, we have to show the value of truth. You know, one thing is like when I'm raising my daughters and stuff, and I'm telling them stuff, it's all about, it doesn't matter, you know, so I'm telling you what is the way to go. And I'm also telling you what the world's going to tell you is against the things that I'm telling you.
Right.
And there's going to be there's a lot of facts and there's going to be a lot of feelings in that too, right? Mm-hmm. I got to show the value in my facts and my truth and stuff for my girls and stuff. I think the United States has to show that not just for Black citizens, for all citizens, that the truth is that we stand by that all men are created equal, that we stand by all the great ideals. And that's why they're ideals, right? Because it's what we aspire to, not necessarily where we are, but we aspire to. And let me say this, I know a lot of great people. We talked about my position in the military stuff. I met where I work, I am blessed. I am blessed to work alongside some of the finest men and women I've ever met. I've been around the world several times, and you know, these are some really, really good people. And so I extrapolate that there are also outstanding people in every city. And so when we're talking about Antifa in Portland, there's some good people in Portland too. So it's not just Antifa there. It's not just Antifa where Joe Manchin's people are. It's good American people who believe in this dream and who are very frustrated by what they see and stuff. But there has to be some kind of value that they see from the Democrats, pull this all back together from our Democratic brothers and sisters up there fighting the good fight and stuff. You got to fight a little bit harder because there's millions of people out there. I think, was it 82? How many voted for Biden?
Was it 82 million?
It was about 82 something.
There's 80 plus million grown adults out there who feel the same way. And so this is a great country by far. And I think we got a lot of great things going on. And we just have to prove it's tough, but it's supposed to be tough. Most of the things that we work for and we want and we appreciate are tough. And so I'm okay with the struggle and stuff. I'm okay bringing up the past and stuff because like critical race theory and stuff, I'm just trying to lay out the facts. Right. If you're butthurt about the facts, then let's work on present, what we can do about that. But we can't change the past. I ain't got no time machine. This ain't an episode of Loki. We're not gonna be jumping off of stuff. Right. But we can fix what we got today, right? And I really do. I believe in that. I believe that we're in a special place with some special people around us. I think we can get it done. I think we have to work on our local politics. A year ago, I talked about Black people coming together and having our own political party locally. It doesn't work out so much nationally because of the way of our outdated electoral college and stuff. But we can swing that too, because if we control a lot of things on the local and state level and stuff, we can parlay that influence and say, hey, just like Joe Manchin only controls 0.5% of the population, only represents 0.5% of the population, he has so much control right now. Well, we're only 13% of the population. That's more than that 0.5%. Why don't we leverage our control? If he can leverage with 0.5% of the population and we're 13%, I think that we should be balling out, and we need to unify and figure that out, and we can ball out.
Very nice point.
And that's the thing.
Very nice.
The magic is how we get that 13% together.
Well, it ain't gonna be me because in the past they like to shoot them brothers in the head.
Yeah. Hence the reason why, like honestly, like even like before this show, and talking politics along with you guys, I was one of those guys, man. I was on the fence. I was Democrat by blood, so to speak, and I was trying to understand, well, why we don't. What was my understanding? Like, what's the difference between a Democrat and a Republican? 'Cause my little basic elementary understanding was, well, one group has money and the other one don't, and so I was like, oh, well, I ain't got no money, so I guess I'm a Democrat. Yeah. So that was that was my understanding. But then when I realized, oh, Democrats, they can be rich, okay, and Republicans can do Democratic type stuff and everything. So then I started educating myself a little better, and I got all of my political experience and stuff just by paying attention on people's stances. And I was active duty in the Navy, so I got a whole lot of perspectives from a whole lot of Republicans. And I was like, okay, so I grew up Democrat. I saw their ideals. And I'm like, you know what, babe, I don't like nobody. And so then she says, well, baby, that's why I'm unaffiliated. And I was like, it seemed like to me that would be the spot, especially if you want to try to change something and pull the power, because nobody knows which way you're going to go. So I'm going to do my best, either as a Democrat or Republican, to get your vote. So besides everything being public record, and like, Brian, I know you a Democrat. Lori, I know you're a Republican. So I'm only just going to just do you because I'm a Republican and I need for Lori to put me in office. I ain't worried about Brian. But see, if both y'all were unaffiliated,
Well,
I wouldn't know which way y'all gonna go.
You're right on that point, and I'm about to wrap it up. But you're right on that point. Basically, your base is your base. You ain't really worried about where they're going to be. What everybody is fighting more for are those swing voters, those voters that, because I guarantee you, Joe Biden also won. As much as black folks want to claim that they had everything to do with Joe Biden winning, Asian Americans want to claim that they had everything to do with Joe Biden winning, Hispanics want to claim that they had everything with Joe Biden winning. And all those could be true at the same time. But there was also a big contingent of Republicans or people that traditionally voted Republican that said, I will not pull the lever for Donald Trump. And they went in and they voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Republicans led by John Kasich, Cindy McCain, people like that that said enough is a freaking enough. There's people like Michael Steele, who led the Republican National Committee, who said enough is enough. There's people like an S.C. Cupp, other people like that out there that said, I've voted Republican all my life, but it ain't happening this cycle. Those are the winds that can turn sometimes depending on who the candidate is. We pretty much know our bases. They're like tribal teams. They go to their corners, and that's where they are. You know they're there. It's those people in the middle that you try to go after to say, okay, I know last election you went D. Now I need you to come over to the R this time. And as long as we package our message and make it look that way. But now here's the funny thing, and I'm in, is that the Republicans' strategy now doesn't even seem to be going after the independents. It just seems to be, we're going to take as many pieces off the chessboard as we can in the name of voting, and whatever's left, it should be enough to give us the victory anyway.
Right.
They're not even going to say, you know what, I'm going to come up with such a great message and packaging to these middle of the road people to appeal to them. We're just going to rig the game so that we're going to win regardless. And that's the game right now. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up because that was a great conversation. But I do want to just make notice that this is Joe Biden's first trip internationally, and it's a strategic trip because he's going to spend a little bit over the next week visiting a lot of our allies. You know, we talked about how truth does matter, and Jermaine is absolutely right. And we also have to come to the conclusion that maybe the 2020 election was just the first step of many. A lot of our Democrats are getting a little antsy right now because things aren't moving as fast as they want. But they're almost acting as if this race, if they don't win this particular leg of the race, the rest of the race is over. And I can understand some of that to an extent. But if we galvanized, if we mobilized so much as we did in 2020 to get over the finish line, then we are capable of going further and further and further. And what I simply mean by that is that, you know what, if some of this legislation stalls, then we've got to mobilize for the midterms. Even if we lose things in the midterms, we've got to galvanize for 2024. To Jermaine's point, it does start on a local level, whether we form a party of our own or whether we influence change from the local level and get all the way up to the state and federal level. The only way to change this is from outside in. New blood has to come into this. And it can't just happen with the 2020 election. It's going to happen in 2022, 2024, 2026, 2028. It's going to have to keep growing. The movement has to get better. The Joe Manchins, they'll fall away to the wayside. The Louis Gohmerts, the Andy Biggs, all these other crazy folks out there will start to go away, and we'll have other blood to come in. But it has to start somewhere. It starts with you and you being concerned about voting. If they sit there and don't let you have a drink of water, drink you 8 gallons of water before you come. If they don't want you to come on Sundays, find a Saturday that you can switch with somebody if you work on Saturdays. Whatever it is you got to do. They can't put more obstacles in front of you than you can overcome. They want you to believe it's hard so that you'll give up before you even try. Joe Biden is having to go across seas right now because of all the destruction that Donald Trump has done. But if Joe Biden went on that trip thinking that he's going to come back and everybody is going to be confident that, as he put it, America is back, then he's wasting his time. These relationships got torn down, and he's going to have to do everything he can over time to build them back up. So it's going to take time, not only in the voting, but rebuilding our relationship with our allies and making them feel confident that, hey, next cycle, these crazy Americans might bring in the next version of Trump, and we're back to square one again. They don't want to feel like Lucy in the football either. So we've got a lot of repairing to do, not only at home, but abroad. Keep that in mind next time you're at the ballot box, that voting takes time, over and over and over, but eventually we will get the right people in there to do the right thing, and truth will take its rightful place right back where it should. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Head to Head. I am Brian Parker with my great panel, Ms. Lori Parker, CJ Jones, and always the franchise, Mr. Jermaine Parker. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for joining. And if you have not been vaccinated, wear a damn mask.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket.